Welcome to the channel. Today, we're diving into the world of top rare US pennies, exploring some of the most sought-after coins in history. If you're a collector or just love coin talk, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more exciting content. In 1976, America found itself celebrating a monumental occasion, the 200th anniversary of its independence. The year was filled with nationwide festivities, patriotic displays, and numerous commemorative events to honor the historic achievement of the nation breaking away from British rule. But among the flags, parades, and fireworks, there was something smaller, something less obvious, that also carried a sense of history. A tiny coin, the humble 1-cent penny. And this wasn't just any penny. The 1976 penny was a part of a momentous time in American history, and it came with a design change that made it stand out. The penny, which had been a staple of everyday life for decades, underwent a subtle yet significant design modification in that particular year. For collectors and numismatists, this would prove to be an interesting detail to watch out for. But before we get into the specifics of this 1976 penny's design and significance, let's first take a step back and understand how the penny had evolved up until that point. The Lincoln cent, as it's formally known, first made its debut in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The coin's obverse, the front, famously featured a portrait of President Lincoln, while the reverse, the back, initially depicted two wheat stalks, earning it the nickname the wheat penny. This design remained in circulation for several decades, becoming an iconic symbol of America's everyday currency. But in 1959, the U.S. Mint decided it was time to refresh the design, and so the Memorial Penny was born. The reverse now featured the Lincoln Memorial, the iconic structure that stands as a symbol of Lincoln's legacy. This design would endure for years, and by the time 1976 rolled around, it had become a familiar and enduring feature of American coins. But there was something different about the year 1976. As the nation celebrated its bicentennial, the U.S. Mint decided to commemorate the occasion with special designs for various coins, including the penny. While the penny would retain its Lincoln portrait on the obverse, the reverse would see a significant change. Rather than the traditional memorial design, the reverse of the 1976 penny featured a special bicentennial design, a representation of the bicentennial logo. This emblem, which had already been used in many other aspects of the bicentennial celebrations, was now placed on the reverse of the coin. The logo featured a large 1776 to 1976 inscription, flanked by two colonial drummers. The artwork was inspired by the nation's revolutionary past and the sounds of drummers that had played a role in the American Revolutionary War. This change to the reverse side of the penny was part of a larger effort to make the 1976 coins more reflective of the nation's history and to celebrate the significance of the bicentennial. While the obverse of the coin, featuring Lincoln, remained unchanged, the reverse featured a bold, distinctive design that set it apart from the standard memorial penny design of previous years. But it wasn't just the design change that made this coin special. The timing of the change, during the nation's 200th birthday, made it a unique part of American numismatic history. Now, let's dive into the specifics of the coin's production. In 1976, the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies, as these small coins were used frequently in everyday transactions. The bicentennial penny, however, was not produced in the same quantity as regular pennies. In fact, only the pennies minted in 1975 and 1976 featured this commemorative reverse design. They were struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mint facilities, with each mint marking its coins with a distinctive mint mark: the D for Denver, the S for San Francisco, and no mark for Philadelphia. While the 1976 penny was part of a larger series of bicentennial coins, it's important to note that, unlike other coins such as the quarter and half dollar, the penny was only given a reverse design change. The obverse, featuring Lincoln's portrait, remained the same. And unlike other special edition coins, the penny's new reverse design did not result in a huge surge in demand or collector interest. Most people were just happy to continue using the pennies they had always used, unaware that they were holding a piece of history. But here's where things get interesting. Not all 1976 pennies are the same. In fact, some 1976 pennies are significantly more valuable than others. The key to this difference lies in the details of the minting process and how well the coins were struck. While most 1976 pennies are relatively easy to find in circulation, some rarer varieties of the coin have caught the attention of collectors. One particularly rare variety is the 1976 no mint mark penny, which was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In most years, pennies struck at Philadelphia would feature a mint mark, a small P. But for 1976, the mint mark was omitted. While this was likely just an oversight or a quirk in the minting process, it created a rare and highly sought-after version of the 1976 penny. This variation, which was only discovered a few years after the coin's release, is highly valued among collectors, and finding one in good condition can command a significant price. Another factor that adds to the value of some 1976 pennies is the condition of the coin itself. Coins that were well preserved, free of significant wear and tear, and with clear, sharp details are more desirable to collectors. Coins that are uncirculated or in mint state, especially those with full luster and without any noticeable scratches or blemishes, can be worth far more than those that have been circulated heavily. Some 1976 pennies in pristine condition have sold for tens of thousands of dollars at auction, a surprising amount for a coin that was originally worth just 1 cent. The demand for these coins has only grown over the years, as collectors continue to scour coin rolls and estate sales for the elusive 1976 penny. But even if you don't have a rare version of the coin in your pocket, the 1976 penny is still an interesting piece of American history to own. It's a reminder of a time when the nation celebrated its 200th birthday, and it carries with it the legacy of the Lincoln Memorial and the values associated with America's founding. Now, let's talk about the big reveal, the value of the 1976 penny today. While most 1976 pennies are worth just 1 cent, certain rarer versions can fetch much higher prices. The 1976 no mint mark penny in mint condition, for example, has been known to sell for upwards of $113,000. Yes, you heard that right. Over $100,000 for a penny. This is especially true for the highest quality examples of the coin, where collectors are willing to pay a premium for a piece of numismatic history that is so rare and well preserved. But even if you don't have one of the rarer pennies, don't be discouraged. The 1976 bicentennial penny is still an interesting and meaningful piece of American history. And while it may not be worth a small fortune for most people, its historical significance and the fascinating story behind its design continue to capture the attention of coin enthusiasts around the world. So, next time you reach into your pocket and pull out a penny, take a moment to appreciate the history behind it. You might just have a rare and valuable piece of American history in your hand, waiting to be discovered. And who knows, maybe you'll be the lucky one who finds a 1976 penny worth $113,000. Let's step back in time for a moment to 1990, a year where history was quietly unfolding all around us. But for many, the turning of the calendar pages may have passed unnoticed. The world was changing, though, and the U.S. was in the middle of a significant cultural shift. The internet was just beginning to take shape, the economy was flourishing, and Americans were beginning to glimpse the massive changes technology would soon bring to every facet of life. But while most people were busy navigating these changes, the coin in your pocket, the humble 1-cent penny, was undergoing a transformation of its own. The penny itself is often overlooked in everyday life, regarded as little more than pocket change. But in 1990, there was more happening with the penny than you might think. Not much fanfare accompanied the release of the 1990 penny, But this seemingly insignificant coin would prove to be a treasure trove for collectors in years to come. The story of the 1990 penny isn't just about its creation. It's about the tiny details and unexpected history that have elevated it to a fascinating status in the world of numismatics. Before we dive into the specifics of the 1990 penny itself, let's take a quick look at the context surrounding its production. By the time 1990 arrived, the U.S. had long been using the Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse of the penny. This design, introduced in 1959, had become a hallmark of the coin and a familiar sight to anyone who had ever used a penny in the United States. The obverse of the penny, however, had remained largely unchanged since 1909, when it first featured a portrait of Abraham Lincoln. But what you may not know is that while the reverse of the penny had stayed the same for decades, the 1990 penny was a part of a much larger story in terms of coin production. 1990 marked a year when coin collectors started to pay closer attention to the details of minting. The U.S. Mint, in its ongoing efforts to ensure that the nation's coinage was up to snuff, started to introduce new methods and stricter quality controls for coins being struck, and the penny, despite its low face value, was no exception. The coin, which still bore Lincoln's likeness on the front, was produced in staggering numbers that year. While pennies in circulation may seem like they're everywhere, the production of these small coins isn't a simple process. In 1990, the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies, but it's important to note that the year's coinage was minted at two different facilities, the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. This made for subtle differences in the final product, differences that would later play a significant role in the coin's collector appeal. However, the major thing that set the 1990 penny apart from earlier versions was not necessarily its design but its mintage. In fact, the 1990 penny is one of the most common coins in circulation, making it one that most people don't think twice about when they see it. It wasn't a special commemorative release, nor was it the product of a major redesign or event like some other notable years in U.S. coin history. The 1990 penny was a relatively standard coin, quietly minted and distributed without any grand celebrations or widespread media coverage. But for collectors, this is exactly where the story gets interesting. You see, when it comes to coins, the key to rarity, and thus value, often lies in the fine details that many people don't notice. The subtle differences between coins produced in the same year, like the location where they were minted or slight variations in the strikes that produced them, can mean the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and one worth thousands. The 1990 penny was produced in large numbers, but one particular variety of the coin would eventually catch the eye of collectors and become highly sought after. This specific variety is known as the 1990 D penny, which was minted in Denver. While this may sound like an insignificant detail, the 1990 D penny is one of those coins that has gained considerable value over time, particularly those in higher-grade conditions. Collectors quickly realized that the 1990 D penny minted in Denver was distinctive due to its particular strike quality and the fact that certain examples of this penny seemed to exhibit characteristics that were less common in pennies produced in other years. While most 1990 pennies, regardless of mint mark, were relatively easy to find, the Denver minted coins were particularly appealing to numismatists because of their unique strike patterns and the rare condition that many of them seem to possess. Now, let's break down why condition is so important when it comes to determining the value of a coin. The 1990 penny, like most other coins, comes in a range of conditions, from those that have been heavily circulated and show signs of wear, to those that are pristine, untouched by time or use. The coins that have been kept in mint condition, those with sharp, well-defined features and little to no evidence of circulation, are the ones that hold the most value. Coins like these are referred to as uncirculated, and they're much rarer to find than those that have been used in daily transactions. The grade of a coin plays a pivotal role in its value, and the 1990 penny is no different. When a penny has been kept in pristine condition, free from the wear and tear of everyday use, it is significantly more valuable than one that has been heavily circulated. This is where the 1990 penny starts to show its true potential. Some of the highest quality 1990 pennies, especially those minted in Denver, have been known to fetch staggering prices at auctions, attracting the attention of serious coin collectors around the world. But even beyond the high-grade varieties, the 1990 penny also holds a certain mystique due to its place in U.S. coinage history. As we know, coins rarely stand out during their initial production years, especially when they're part of regular minting schedules. It's only after time passes and the penny's features, its quality, and its place in the wider context of American currency are fully understood that the value begins to climb. And it's precisely this hindsight that makes the 1990 penny so intriguing. Now, for those of you still wondering just how much this seemingly humble coin could be worth, here comes the big reveal. A well-preserved, high-grade 1990 penny could fetch up to $59,000. Yes, you heard that right. A penny that you might have overlooked in your pocket or found among your loose change could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. This is especially true if you happen to find one in mint condition, with flawless details and no signs of wear. This price point might sound unbelievable, but it highlights an important aspect of coin collecting: rarity and condition. While most 1990 pennies will never approach such a value, there's always the chance that the penny you thought was just pocket change might hold more history and value than you realize. As collectors continue to search for rare varieties and perfect specimens, the value of certain coins can fluctuate, sometimes reaching surprising amounts. The 1990 penny is a great example of how a seemingly ordinary coin can become a highly coveted piece of numismatic history. So, the next time you're rummaging through a jar of loose change, remember that even the most ordinary-seeming coins can hide extraordinary value. The 1990 penny, for instance, might just be sitting in your collection, quietly waiting for the right moment to shine. And who knows? You might be holding onto a rare piece of history that could be worth thousands. Keep an eye out for those little details because in the world of coin collecting, they often make all the difference. In the year 1996, the world was witnessing a time of rapid change. The internet was becoming more accessible. Pop culture was filled with classic movies and music that would later define an era. And technology was creeping into the everyday lives of many. But in the midst of these seismic shifts in society, something smaller, yet still significant, was quietly making its mark on history: the penny. Yes, the humble 1-cent coin, which so often gets lost in the shuffle of larger bills, was quietly evolving in its own right, becoming a piece of American history that would intrigue collectors and coin enthusiasts for decades to come. The 1996 penny, though outwardly similar to many of its predecessors, holds a special place in the hearts of those who collect coins. To understand why this seemingly insignificant piece of currency would captivate collectors, we need to dive into the history behind it, the subtle details that set it apart, and the factors that have contributed to its impressive collector appeal. To start, it's important to recognize that the design of the penny itself had remained relatively consistent for much of the 20th century. Since 1909, the penny had featured the profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, the front of the coin, which was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner. It was a fitting tribute to the nation's 16th president, and his likeness became synonymous with American values, such as freedom and unity. Meanwhile, the reverse of the coin initially displayed a design of 2 wheat stalks, but this changed in 1959 when the reverse was redesigned to feature the Lincoln Memorial, a structure that would become iconic in its own right. The 1996 penny was minted during the later years of the Lincoln Memorial reverse design, which had been in circulation for almost 4 decades. Despite the fact that the penny had not undergone a major redesign since 1959, 1996 was still a year of significance in the world of U.S. coinage. The minting of this penny occurred during a time when the U.S. Mint was grappling with production challenges due to the increasing number of pennies required by the American public. While pennies may seem small and insignificant, their sheer volume and the cost to produce them became a major issue in the 1990s. That said, the 1996 penny, while an ordinary year in terms of its overall production, still carries with it some unique features that have contributed to its collector appeal. To fully understand the rarity and value of the 1996 penny, We need to explore its minting history, the quality of the coins produced, and the very specific factors that have led to its growing significance in the numismatic world. The U.S. Mint, as always, produced billions of pennies in 1996, minting coins at multiple facilities, including the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. For most collectors, the difference between pennies minted at different facilities is something that can make a huge difference when it comes to identifying rarer varieties. In 1996, this was particularly important, as certain varieties of the penny have become more desirable than others due to their unique qualities. When it comes to the 1996 penny, the distinguishing feature most collectors look for is the presence or absence of a mint mark on the coin. Pennies struck at the Denver Mint feature a D mint mark, while those struck at the Philadelphia Mint have no mint mark at all. This subtle difference may seem small, but to a dedicated coin collector, it's a critical piece of the puzzle. The 1996 penny from Philadelphia, for example, is the focus of many collectors' attention because of its rarity, condition, and the circumstances surrounding its production. A critical detail that distinguishes the 1996 penny from other years is the quality of the minting process. As with many coins, the penny's design and its condition are two crucial factors that impact its desirability in the marketplace. The quality of a penny is determined by how clearly its features are struck and whether there are any visible flaws or imperfections on the coin's surface. Some 1996 pennies were produced in such pristine condition that they are now considered rare and highly valuable. Coins that are struck more clearly, without any defects like misstrikes, scratches, or blemishes, are highly sought after by collectors. Uncirculated 1996 pennies that exhibit sharp detail and bright luster can be worth significantly more than those that have been heavily circulated. But it's not just the penny's physical appearance that matters. The rarity of the coin itself plays a significant role in its appeal. Some years of minting are less abundant than others, and the coins minted during those years become much rarer as the years go by. In the case of the 1996 penny, there were a few factors that contributed to its rarity, such as the relatively low number of high-quality coins produced that year and the condition in which they have been preserved. Over time, more and more coin collectors began to focus on the finer details of the 1996 penny, noticing that certain varieties were in higher demand than others. As with most coins, the key to determining the value of a 1996 penny lies in its condition. The highest grades are those that have been kept in excellent condition, often in specialized collections, and are free from any imperfections that would lower their value. A penny that has remained in mint state, with sharp details, lustrous surfaces, and without any obvious wear, is far more valuable than one that has been circulated heavily over the years. One of the rarest and most valuable versions of the 1996 penny is the so-called double die variety. A double die coin occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during the minting process, resulting in a doubled image on the coin. This can happen in several ways, but the effect is most often seen in the inscriptions on the coin, such as the date or the words on the reverse side. The 1996 penny, in particular, has a very distinct double die variety that has become highly coveted among collectors. This double die 1996 penny is particularly valuable because the doubling effect is visible on the coin's date, where the digits of 1996 appear to be doubled. Finding a 1996 penny with this type of doubling is quite rare, and the coins that exhibit this feature in top condition can command incredible prices at auction. It's the kind of discovery that turns a seemingly ordinary penny into a treasure worth thousands of dollars. As we continue to see with coin collecting, some of the most valuable coins aren't necessarily those that were produced during limited runs or commemorative issues. It's the coins that have subtle, rare features that make them truly stand out. And in the case of the 1996 penny, it's those minor misprints and imperfections, such as the double die, that make it so valuable to collectors. So, now that we've explored the history, minting process, and factors contributing to the appeal of the 1996 penny, it's time for the big reveal. What is this seemingly humble penny worth today? While most 1996 pennies are still worth just 1 cent, those rare examples, especially those with the double die feature or those in pristine condition, can fetch impressive sums. In fact, a 1996 penny with the double die variety in mint state has been known to sell for as much as $55,000. Yes, that's right. A penny worth just 1 cent when it was first minted could now be worth tens of thousands of dollars if it's in the right condition and possesses the right characteristics. This is the kind of transformation that makes coin collecting so thrilling. You never know when you might stumble upon a coin that has immense historical value and worth. For most people, finding a penny like that might seem like a stroke of luck. But for collectors, it's the result of years of dedicated searching, studying, and appreciating the tiny details that make a coin stand out from the rest. So, the next time you come across a 1996 penny in your pocket, take a closer look. It could be a rare, valuable piece of history waiting to be discovered.